Welcome everybody to Blog Posts Your Clients Will Read. We have a really exciting presentation for you today. Let me do a quick introduction. For those of you who've joined us before, welcome back. For those of you who are new to our webinars, let me let you know who's presenting today. I will be doing the bulk of the presentation today. My name is Victoria Blute and I'm the Lawlytics Community Manager. I really love helping you learn what works on the web and letting all of you know about the latest developments with the internet, with search engines, and with online marketing. We've got an interesting presentation for you today, both for current bloggers and for those who are thinking about getting started with one. At the very end, Dan Jaffe, who is an attorney and also our Lawlytics CEO, is going to jump in to do question and answers. For the record, if you haven't joined us before, a little reminder that if you have a question during the presentation, no need to hold on to it until the very end. You can always enter your question into the GoToWebinar control panel, and we will get to those at the very end here. So with that, let's look a little bit at today's agenda. So first we'll talk about the reasons why you should blog, some of which I think you're going to find very surprising. Then we'll get into the meat of this presentation, and that's ideas for new blogs or just to get you started. At the very end, we'll discuss issues of readability on the web, because not only does what you write matter, but the language that you use and how you structure it also matters. And of course, at the very, very end, we'll do questions and answers. So why give away information? If you're joining us today, there's a very good chance that as an attorney, you are both passionate about helping other people and building a great career for yourself. You went through long hours of studying, you went through the expense of law school, and you took the gamble that becoming a lawyer would pay off in the long run. And that's both in terms of personal fulfillment and a comfortable salary. Now, at the point in your career here where you're being paid for your legal expertise, you might wonder what would compel an attorney to openly blog about their understanding of the law, seemingly giving that information away to the entire internet for free. Because with all of the time and effort that you put into such a calling, some of you are surely wondering, why would I give so much information away? Why would I outright tell people who aren't yet my clients how much I know as a lawyer? Shouldn't I be getting paid for that? And that's a great question. What that comes down to is understanding not only the information that's available to your potential clients right now, but also the way that information is used in today's world. So we used to live in what is described as an information economy. Information economies use knowledge as a main source of value, so much so that the majority of the workforce tends to contribute to society by taking information-related jobs, and most products created are information-based products. But we have moved past that now, because what we're looking at now culturally is an information society. And an information society is one that does not pay for information. They are defined by civilizations that rely on the creation, the distribution, and the use of information, rather than relying on information as their most valuable money-making material, something that's meant to be hoarded and protected at all costs. So, for example, while our culture is not so much interested in selling information, we are interested in selling things like communication technologies. It's why a concept like Facebook or marketing automation or even an inter-office communication tool like Slack have done very, very well. So, what does all of this mean for you as an attorney? What this means is that you should be blogging, because even if we're part of a culture that doesn't value information in a traditional way anymore, and technology-based services have a foothold, computers cannot do your job. So while information societies don't revolve around selling information, they still very much sell services, and that is where you come in as an attorney. Because a person can learn all they want about the law, but without a living, breathing attorney to represent them, not much can happen. While your knowledge of the law is tremendously important, your ability to act as an advocate is even more valuable. So there's always going to be lots of software that can assist lawyers in what they do, but one thing that will likely always stick around is an attorney's ability to act as an advocate. So in a one-sentence summation, here's a good reason why you should put what you know on the internet and make it available for public consumption. And that's because shelling out content on a website is not the same as actually representing a client, and it never will be. So let's talk about the reasons specifically here why you should be blogging. And one is that if you don't blog, other lawyers are going to. So as we said before, information societies rely on creating and distributing and using information. And that's even if that information is worthless or inaccurate. And it's one reason I think that the internet can be such a scary place. Anybody with access to an internet connection and a keyboard and an idea can type virtually anything they want and have it reach people at the far corners of the universe. So for all its perks, the internet has a way of giving people the illusion of authority when they a lot of times don't have any to begin with. And what that includes is lawyers who aren't at the top of their game. So if they're blogging misleading information to their readership, that's what's being put out there. And this is another reason why you should start blogging as soon as possible, because if you don't, somebody else will. And whether that's a great lawyer who's blogging on a regular basis and answering client questions, or unfortunately, maybe one who's not on the ball, your potential clients will likely be exposed to all sorts of information, good, bad, and otherwise. And really, wouldn't you rather that they be well informed, particularly by what you're writing? And not only that, but we have to understand that your potential client is busy thinking about the questions that are related to their case or their problem. And one major place that they're trying to get those answers is through search engines. If your blog posts answer the questions that they have in language that they're likely to use, you have a very good shot at search engines returning your website or your blog in search engine results pages. So by blogging about what you know, you have an advantage in securing your reputation and your credibility as a well-educated lawyer. And better yet, you'll be an attorney who proves that you're the right person to represent a client by offering meaningful website content that really encourages viewers to not only educate themselves, but to seek your particular brand of counsel. Writing quality content on a regular basis really helps to establish you as a go-to authority and a go-to resource in your field. It makes you what we describe as a thought leader. Blogging regularly is a great way to build an appreciating asset for your law firm that will pay off for years to come. So let's talk about the meaty part of this webinar. So let's talk about ways to find inspiration in particular. If you're anything like me in the morning, you stumble into the kitchen, you grab a cup of coffee, and you sit down in front of your laptop to read the news. Or maybe you still like reading newspapers. Maybe mornings leave you a little bleary-eyed and you prefer to watch the news instead while you sort of find your bearings. Maybe you listen to news radio on your way to the office. So whatever your preferred method is of keeping up with current events, you've got an easy and, in fact, mostly effortless way to find blogging material as soon as you're out of bed. Reading the newspaper, reading news websites, a news aggregate, or even reading other blogs are excellent ways to come up with timely, relevant topics that are definitely blog-worthy. So plucking a headline from the news that's relevant to the type of law that you practice, or finding a headline that you can relate to what you practice, will grab your readers' attention, particularly if they've been paying attention to that headline themselves. Another thing to consider is keeping a little notepad or a scratch paper handy so that when you see an idea that's interesting, you can scribble it down, save it, and remember it for when you have time to write. Don't trust that you'll just remember it for later. It's really important to keep organized with this sort of task. Conduct interviews. So this is both a fun way to create a little interlude from everyday blogging content and potentially to utilize some multimedia tools, whether that's a podcast or a video or so forth. Think about interviewing other experts in the field, think about interviewing local judges, or think about interviewing clients who have given you permission to talk about the success that they've had with your firm. This can be a worthwhile networking opportunity, as well as providing your readers with exciting and unexpected content. Also, if you're feeling a little rusty when it comes to interviews, I've written a blog on the Lawlytics website about how to do a great interview for your law firm blog, so feel free to check that out too. Question and answer sessions. So in these blogs, you can either write and answer common questions that you get yourself, you can write hypotheticals, or you can encourage your readership or your newsletter subscribers to contact you with the questions that they have about your area of practice. Now, here's another benefit of this is that for questions that require in-depth explanations, you can turn a single question into an entire blog post, which is fantastic. I saw one the other day that I sort of stumbled upon by accident, but it really caught my attention. And the question was, can my child get arrested for making prank calls in California? And what I discovered by total accident is that in some cases, yeah, your kid can get in big trouble. I was not even looking for that little tidbit of information, and yet I got totally sucked into this blog, and I walked away learning something new. Now, imagine if I'm one of your potential clients and I type in a query like that to Google. If you write a blog that's addressing that, I may very well stumble upon your website. Write about a personal success or write about what inspires you. Maybe you've got a recent court win that you're really proud about sharing, or maybe you've heard a story that inspired you and you think it'll move your readers too. Blogging about either of these is a great way to reach people and to have them understand why being an attorney matters to you. There's the expression that says that people won't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is very true of your potential clients. People are not just looking for a lawyer. They are looking for a person who happens to be excellent at practicing the law. People can really sense passion, and if they know how much you care about your work, they are much more likely to hire you over an attorney that exists on the web as a series of bullet points. You know, I did this, I went to school here, I belong to this organization. And while I think it's really important to tell potential clients about the you've taken in your law career, it's also important to let them know that their problems matter to you. Case studies. So if you're a Lawlytics customer, you're familiar with the case studies module on the Lawlytics app, but let's discuss this a little bit. This is a good way to engage your readers by putting them in a position to understand broader concepts about the law and how the law applies to various cases by sort of examining one case at a time. Here you can lay out the conditions surrounding the problem and ultimately how it was resolved. By educating readers about cases that involve, say, a landmark decision, those tend to be particularly interesting in that they establish new legal principles or change how we interpret the law. There are potential clients who find the concept of quote unquote the law to be intimidating, to be scary, to be over their heads, and this is really a chance for you to educate them. Give them something interesting to think about. Give your opinion, spell things out clearly. I really think knowledge is power for anyone, and your potential clients will appreciate the time and the effort that you've put into helping them understand something, or many can be really vague or confusing or scary. On that note, here is another easy blog for you to write for your audience that I think they'll also appreciate. Think about writing a blog that offers up, say, a legal term of the day. You can educate your readers on jargon that's likely confusing or off-putting to them. Define these in layman's terms. Use them in a sentence. Find a practical example to show readers how they're used in the legal world. These blogs will be not only easy for you to write, but fun for your audience to read too. Similarly, this next idea will allow you to get inside the mindset of a potential client. So for whatever field that you practice in, consider a hypothetical scenario and write about it. As an example, let's say you're a DUI attorney. And maybe you think about the following hypothetical. Let's say a person has been arrested for a DUI, and while that case is pending, they get arrested for a second DUI. What should they do? Will the second arrest affect the outcome of the pending case? There are all sorts of interesting questions here that can be answered in a blog post, and this is a really great opportunity to do that. What's happening at your firm? So Are you offering a new service? Is a new attorney joining your firm? Do you have a new practice certification that you're really proud of and you want to share with people? This is all bloggable material. Now, the only caveat here, and I want you to keep this in mind, is that try to keep law office related material to a minimum. In the same way that you might find a friend a little bit irritating when they do nothing but post photos of themselves on Facebook, incessantly telling your subscribers or your readership about yourself or your law firm can get old fast. So there's a time and a place for it, but use it sparingly. So now that you have a couple new ideas for your next blog, let's briefly talk about readability on the web. Because if you write a great piece, but the language is too complex, the length isn't right, or the presentation isn't easily digestible, you may turn off a potential client before they ever get a chance to hear what you're going to say, and that would really be a shame. So the first thing that I want to say is that big messages do not have to arrive in complex packaging. In fact, people prefer what we often describe as nuggets of information that are sort of at the intersection of quality content and quality writing. So writing easy-to-read blogs has a number of advantages. It's one reason that what's often described as the BuzzFeed formula or a listicle is reasons why that is so popular. So titles like, for example, 5 things you didn't know about X topic can really put readers at ease. And the reason why is that it's the sense of time commitment. People know that it won't take them long to read the post. They can get through it quickly, they can gain something useful, and they can move forward. Writing simple blogs and listicles may not give readers deeply detailed information as a book would, but it's a good place to begin. No matter how informative the writing is, people tend to become frustrated if they have to do any sort of mental gymnastics to get to the takeaway point. After all, as I'd said earlier, the internet is sort of full of quote-unquote information. We've been exposed to the internet long enough that even the way that people scan search results has changed. We need a way to people need a way to distill and take in the information that they actually want. And easy reads can really help us sort the deluge of information that we get every single day. And that's why high quality content that's written simply can be a really good choice for law firms. People click on links and they often scan what's there before they start reading. Now, if the writing looks complex, readers may skip it in favor of something on another site that provides similar information, but in an easier format. And it may be that once readers scan a blog post blueprint, if you will, and they find the ones that they like, they'll read the post and pick up the important takeaways. If the topic interests them, they may want more in-depth information later. And on Lawlytics, we have a system that allows you to use subheaders to sort of cascade down in order of importance, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the law can be a complex topic, but that doesn't mean that lawyers have to write about it in a complicated way. I recommend that you avoid using legal jargon, or if you do, you clearly explain the term when it must be used. That can really help readers without a legal education feel that your content is accessible to them and it's easy to understand. Lawyers may also want to implement bullet points and short paragraphs. Long sentences and long paragraphs feel very overwhelming to readers on the web. Now, where length is concerned, this is a question that we get a lot. How long should my blog posts be? And where that's concerned, think of it this way. If you're writing about a topic that requires some in-depth explanation, don't hold back. Write what you need to write, whether that's 1,500 words, 2,000 words, or so forth. But similarly, if a topic only warrants 300 words, 400 words, don't stretch that to 1,000 words, because your potential clients are looking for information. They're not looking for filler. So there's no right blog post length, and there are short posts that can really pack a punch, but sometimes longer posts are necessary too. Now, in my own case, if you look at a lot of the blog posts that I write on Lawlytics, I, for some reason, have a natural sweet spot for about 1,000 words. So do what's comfortable for you without sacrificing the quality of the information that's there. Now, if you're writing something really lengthy, here's where presentation matters most. We know people that skim for information, and so making use of things like subheaders really matter a lot. There's a very good chance that a potential client may not read everything that you write in a blog post, but what they will look for is cues that allow them to find the information that they personally need. If they like what you write in one section and it's clearly laid out for them, they may go on to read the rest of the piece. However, if you do not give them any initial clues as to what's going on, looking at a giant block of text may turn them off entirely. People are not going to dig for information. It's got to be digestible. And so the way I like people to think about subheaders sometimes is sort of like, if you were dancing with a partner and you're leading, you're sort of telling them where to go. So by dividing things up in a way that makes sense, it really gives them cues as to what should I be looking for? Will this paragraph tell me what I need to know? And with that, we're on to the Q&A portion of our webinar. So Dan's going to jump in here and let us know if we've got any questions. Dan?
Can you hear me, Tori?
I can.
Okay, great. Well, we did have some questions that came in, and I'm still in the process of parsing them. If you'd like to ask questions, we'll get to everybody's questions. You can just put them into the GoToWebinar control panel under the box that says questions. Let's see. So we got a couple questions about the Lawlytics, what Tori called the Lawlytics case studies module. And I'm going to get to those in a second. I'm going to set up a little demonstration here to show you what the case studies or case results module is and how that's a little bit different than blogging. And we'll address a couple of the questions that came in. While I'm doing that, though, let's just take some of these other ones that came in because they're more general in nature. So one of the questions is, are there areas of practice where you shouldn't be giving information away? And it's an adjustment for some lawyers who have, especially lawyers that have been around for a long time, that are used to having a monopoly on the information and being able to sell that. I honestly can't think of a single area of practice nowadays, though, where it pays to hoard the information. Because if you don't give it away, if you don't share insights and information about your areas of practice, somebody else is going to be doing so. And as Tori said, with the way our society now looks at information, if they don't get it from you, there is a substantial chance that they will get it elsewhere. And then there was another statement that looks, there's really no question attached, but it says all I have to sell is information and advice, and we believe that that's simply not so. It's just a matter of reframing your view of your practice to encompass the other values that you're adding. Most non-lawyers will. Even if they get all of the information that you could possibly give them on a legal topic in front of them, there's no way that they would feel comfortable acting upon that information unless it's a very simple do-it-yourself type topic. And so there's a lot of opportunity by giving the information away to then provide services surrounding that information, especially when you're looking at potentially charging by the job or a flat fee basis rather than by the hour, because you can leverage the information that they're getting on your website to actually make your time go further. So another question that came in is how effective is ghost blogging? And ghost blogging is a practice that's widely used. It's been quite a controversial practice for quite a while. And in other words, you have somebody writing your content for you and then publishing it under your name, or you publish it under your name, just like a ghostwritten book. And the argument against it, and that it's not ethical, is that by having somebody else write and publish in your name, you're misleading potential clients and other consumers about where you stand on things. I don't see it that way. I see it as just another natural extension of leveraging other people's labor, just like you would potentially have a law clerk or a junior associate write a brief for you, and then look over the brief and make whatever changes you're going to make, put your signature at the bottom, and submit it to the court. You're ultimately responsible for what's in that brief, even though you may not have authored every word in it or even any of the words in it. Same is true on the web. You have somebody else write a blog post for you. If you publish it or empower them to publish it under your name, certainly you're still responsible for it under the rules of ethics anyways, because it's in your name and it's on your law firm's website, and you've basically caused it to be published. And so the ethics issue aside, addressing the question of how effective it is, it can be very effective, or it can be decidedly ineffective depending on how it's being done and who's doing it for you. We've seen a lot of really good ghost blogging, and then we've seen even more terrible ghost blogging. There's a whole industry that's grown up around the idea that attorneys don't want to write their own content. And if you have empowered somebody who doesn't understand the law, or who doesn't speak whatever language you're writing to your audience in natively, or at least have a good command of the language, it can really spin out of control very quickly. The misuse of certain words or phrases can cause ripples beyond just it not making sense. In other words, people can look at something that is either a typo or just a misuse of an English word that means something different legally than the common use of it in everyday conversation. But that can set you up for a lot of potential trouble. And so if you have somebody who is ghost blogging of that caliber, and usually the price is proportional to the credentials and the skill with which somebody will write for you, it can cause a lot of problem. On the other hand, we have seen, and we have actually helped law firms through blogging create very robust websites and blogs that are performing marvelously, that are producing a lot of revenue and followers for the firm. But when you look at our process, and for those of you who don't know, we have a content department that is run and staffed by lawyers, and we do create content both in the form of blog content and substantive content for attorneys' websites. And the editorial process that we go through involves the attorney. We never don't involve the attorney. We get to a point sometimes where the attorney is very comfortable with the legal accuracy, the tone, the ethics compliance of our writing, and they just skim it and approve it, or even give us publication approval because they know that they can trust us after they've seen X number of articles from us. But our process is set up to ensure that nothing gets out there that the attorney doesn't know about and that doesn't represent the attorney in a way that the attorney wouldn't want to be represented. And so it's really a matter of being careful who you hire. We have seen cases where, in order to save money, attorneys have hired ghost writers or ghost bloggers who have legal backgrounds or who have even actually graduated from law and practiced for any length of time. And these may be very capable writers, but they may be in a different jurisdiction. They may not understand the nuances of the area of law that you're blogging about. And so if they don't, it's up to you as the attorney to really set out the parameters to give them the scope of what you want covered, as well as the tone and so forth. And so it can be a marvelously effective tool. It can leverage your marketing efforts in a way that is more cost effective than you sitting there and writing every blog post for yourself. But it's also something that if you go with the cheapest bidder in that situation, it can be very ineffective or even counterproductive. There was another question that came in about the ethical implications of ghost blogging, which I kind of covered. in that long-winded explanation there. Another question that came in is how long do you need to blog before a blog starts getting traction and producing results? That really depends on how often you're blogging. And by the question, I assume is not how long the blog posts are, but what length of time it will take from starting a blog to the point where it gets traction and you actually start seeing the rewards payoff of it. Um, we've seen blogs take off in as little as several weeks when they're hit very aggressively, when good content is added, that content is shared appropriately, it's promoted, it's something that resonates with people that want to share it. If you're writing about the nuances of something that's been written about over and over again and you're just another voice shouting into the void, it's going to take longer, although you can still become a thought leader in really any area. But if you take a novel area, something that's just happened, there's a new cause of action, some new mass tort or something that has just come into law, new legalization of marijuana in a state or something like that, that hasn't been covered in that particular jurisdiction. And you jump on that and you blog very well about it, as well as provide useful information that's shareable, maybe a little video, some audio, infographic, something like that. Those types of things can cause you to get traction very rapidly, and that traction, even the traction of one or two really good articles, can create readership that lasts. And then, as long as you keep up the blogging cadence, once you've gotten that initial traction, it's very possible to grow really significant readership and start monetizing that through clients and referral of clients very, very quickly. On the other hand, if you're just kind of pecking at it, it could be months, even half a year or more, just depending on how big your jurisdiction is, how much your competition is blogging, and the quality with which they're blogging. But don't get me wrong, quantity should never be a substitute for quality. I'd rather see any of our member law firms produce one excellent blog post a week than 7 mediocre ones. And it's really a matter of adding value, because if somebody comes to your website and you've got a blog post that just doesn't say anything, or it starts out strong and then it just ends up in a sales pitch at the end, doesn't really go anywhere, is very self-serving, that type of thing, they won't trust that anything else that you write is worthwhile to read thereafter. And so it's important to make sure that you write stuff that's actually engaging. Um, I've been kind of multitasking here, and several other questions have come in. I've got a couple others that were in reserve from before, and what I'm going to do is let me go ahead and switch screen sharing to me. Tori, if you wouldn't mind activating your audio, I want to get confirmation once I'm presenter here that my screen is actually showing. So give me just a second here.
Sure.
Are you able to see my screen?
I can.
Okay, so it should be, you should be seeing Richard Lawson's website at this point.
I do.
Okay, great. So I'm going to use this as an example in a moment, and I'll get under the hood and show you the case studies or case results module in just a moment. Let me just get through some of these other questions first, so that in case there are people that have asked them that need to go, we get those answered before we go into the demo. So question is, how do you organize blog post timing? Are there metrics to read to gauge how often and what kind of posts are most successful? So great question. So in terms of organizing blog post timing, what we recommend is consistency more than anything. Now, you in your individual law firm and your practice and your bandwidth will have to make the decision as to how often you're blogging if you're doing it yourself. If you sign up for blogging with us, for example, we have a monthly blogging program that you can subscribe to, and it depends on how many blog posts you order from us. Most attorneys that have us blog for them will do about 10 posts per month. Some do 20. We have some that are doing as many as 40. But assuming that you have 10, what we like to do is spread that out. So we have a rhythm of roughly every 3 days. There's a blog post that goes live on the attorney's website. And this is because you want not only to keep the search engines coming back, and they will once your site gets established. Every time something new is published, we see Google and the other search engines almost immediately crawling our Lawlytics customers' sites. But you also want to establish a rhythm for your readers. So if you're doing blogging right, you're creating an audience, and that audience is there to hear what you have to say, and they're wanting to see more. And oftentimes they will come back. But if they keep coming back over and over again to check to see if there's something there, and then there's nothing, and then at the end of the month you catch up and you dump 10 blog posts in, it's going to be not only overwhelming to them, and they're less likely to have the attention span at one time to read through 10 blog posts, but they're also going to see that that is maybe too erratic of a rhythm for them to keep coming back, because you want them to have a reward at variable intervals, but close enough to each other that they keep coming back and they get this good feeling of getting new information from your site. And so it's really a matter of training your visitors, especially referral sources, but also your clients that you want to keep informed, and potential clients as well, to keep coming back. And so that's part one of that question. Part two was, are there metrics to read to engage how often and what kind of posts are the most successful? There absolutely are. And if you're using the Lawlytics system, what will happen is, assuming that you're using all of the features, including the lead tracking capacity, what'll happen is when you post a blog post and then you post another and another and another, and you've got traffic going through, if you're not using the software to keep track of it, you're not really going to know what influenced people. But if you use our lead tracking software, you'll be able to see when somebody becomes a lead, not only what they saw right before they became a lead, whether they called your firm or filled out a form. You'll also be able to then go back and see their previous browsing activity. And so you'll be able to see what influenced them to become a lead. And if they become a client, what influenced them to ultimately become a client. And so it's something that you, once you've really gotten into this, the more attention you pay to it, the more successful you'll be, because then you can really tailor the subject, the tone, and so forth of your blog posts to parody those that you know have worked in the past. I see another question from the same attorney. Uh, I'm an attorney who is ESL. Can I find an editor for my blog post drafting? Yeah, absolutely. So if if you're, I'm not sure from the context if you're writing your blog posts in English, or if you're looking for translation. It seems to me that you're writing them in English, but you want somebody to go back and kind of proofread it and so forth. There's all kinds of services that do that. It's not something that we typically do on an everyday basis, but as a Lawlytics customer, we're always happy to look over blog posts and tell you if you're on the right track, what we think, how you could be doing better, that type of thing. But if you want to get into a regular rhythm of, you write the blog post and then we go over it and correct it for grammar, for spelling, for use of English and so forth, that's something that we could probably arrange for you. It's not a regular like menu item service for us, but our writing department is well equipped to do that. I'm sure there's others as well. You just want to be, again, just like hiring a ghost writer to do your blogging or other writing. You want to be careful who you hire there. Just anecdotally, we recently had a situation where we had a webmaster. So just to give you a little background, at Lawlytics, we work mainly with attorneys, but we also work with some webmasters and other legal marketing providers who have relationships with attorneys and want to use our software because it's more effective for them to use our software than, say, using WordPress or some other platform. And so they use that, so they get our support as well. And we did some writing for their attorney, and then they had somebody outside who was a non-attorney who was more of an English professor type go through and edit it. And the problem became, as they were editing it, we had quoted some statutory language in various places our writing department had. And the statutory language had very specific meaning assigned to various words that were quoted based on the statute. And the problem became when this editor inadvertently got in there and started editing the statutory language to something that either flowed better or maybe made more sense grammatically. They're correcting the legislature's grammar, not ours, and maybe it does read better for a layman, but it changes the legal meaning of the whole thing. And so I just be careful when you do that, right, to make sure that you, if somebody is editing it, that you have enough of a grasp of what they're doing, and they have enough of a grasp of how legal prose works, that you don't end up painting yourself into a corner inadvertently, but by virtue of them doing that kind of editing. Next question, and there's several others that have come in, so I'm just going to keep going through these, and then we will get to the demo soon, I promise. I'm going to change screens here, and this is the Lawlytics case results or case studies area, and so you can take a look at that while we're waiting for me to work my way through these. Question that came in is, can you expand on how a blog interacts with an attorney's other social media platforms, website, Facebook, etc.? So a blog and an attorney website, they should be combined. There used to be a lively debate as to whether a blog should reside separately from the attorney website. That debate is over. The jury has long come back with its decision. This has already been litigated up through the Supreme Court. There is absolutely no doubt that your law firm's website and your law firm's blog should be combined. And if you have a separate law firm website and or a separate law firm blog and website, they can and should be combined. The way that our software works, and let me just show you, since I'm showing you a screen here anyways, is if you go to the main page in the Lawlytics dashboard, you have the access to all of your websites. This is a sample account, and there's many websites because we have all of our sample sites on here. Typically, you're going to see 1, 2, or maybe 3 sites from our average customer. But you have your website, and then you have a built-in blog on each website. And so you can go and you can edit the individual website. So this is your where you would add your substantive information about your practice and so forth. And then you have a blogging platform that's built right in. And so if you were to create a blog, it goes directly into a integrated blog on your website. And so that interaction is easy. It's really a no-brainer. If your website and blog are not combined, get them to be so. And if you happen to be in that situation, we are experts at converting separate websites and blogs into a single platform, making sure that everything gets integrated well. It's all pointed to the right place. You don't lose traffic and so forth. Beyond that, social media such as Facebook and others, we look at social media as a tool to bring people from other places to your website. So in other words, as an attorney and website, when I say website, I mean website and blog or website with a built-in blog. And so let's say you're doing something on Facebook. The goal of that something when it comes to your blog on Facebook should be to get people to be interested enough in what you're talking about on Facebook to go then to your blog to receive the additional information that you're not giving them on Facebook. So you can use Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Plus, other social networks as well. Although it really, when you get beyond Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, it becomes a point of diminishing returns as far as the reach and the value of it. But one thing that we saw early on and we built right in is the ability to have your social media integrated with Lawlytics. So what you do, and I'm just going to show you on the screen here, is you go to the social media area. You can add whatever social media accounts you want. You can associate them with any website you want. And then once they're on there, and you could, if you're just a solo, you can have just your own. If you're a firm of 20 people, every lawyer in your firm can have their social media accounts integrated. When you go to publish a blog post, for example, it will give you the ability, once you're ready to publish it, wrong area, to announce to social media. And so here you can make an announcement automatically, determine which social media accounts you want to announce the post to, and what it will do is it will automatically then post it. So you're not spending extra time that you don't need to spend to go and make those announcements on social media. Now, you may use social media for other things as well, but when it comes to your blog post, it's oftentimes helpful to ask a question. So, how do you feel about the passage of whatever legislation? You name the legislation, you've got a blog post about it on your blog, and you link back to it. Here you say, here's what I thought. And then you might get other people talking about it on your Facebook post, for example. But more likely than not, somebody that's going to chime in on your Facebook post is actually going to go to your blog and read the more in-depth article so that they can sound intelligent as they're responding to you. And so there's a lot less investment than a lot of vendors would want you to believe. A lot less investment needed, that is, in social media, both in terms of time and in dollars spent to do it right. And there's really a point of diminishing returns. You when you're on social media talking about your blog, if you get them there, your blog has to stand on its own anyways. They're going to read the first 3 or 4 lines, and if it's interesting, they're going to stay. If it's not, they're going to go. You want to get them there, and you want to make it interesting enough that they'll like it, they'll share it, which will drive more people and more readership. Next question. Question is, can you please talk a little bit about backlinking to previous blogs? Absolutely. So it's a great idea when you're blogging to point your readers to other resources that can enhance what they're reading about, or that can expand on their understanding of it. Anytime you're blogging about a specific topic on a regular basis, you're going to be creating a cumulative knowledge base, if you will, of information that you don't necessarily want to reiterate in every blog post. And so you want to be able to easily access and link back to other blog posts that you've done. Now it's a great practice. You want to put it typically in line, and so you can say something like, in a previous blog post about House Bill, 283 or whatever, you link to that post highlighting House Bill 283. We discussed its origins. Since then, it's gone through committee and there's been some changes. This is what I think is going on now. This is how it's going to affect case law. These are the things that are going to need to be litigated should this pass. As I've previously mentioned, the insurance industry is afraid of this bill or whatever, and then you would highlight insurance industry is afraid, link it back to your post that talks about the insurance industry being afraid. The one thing that you should not do ever, and if you've done this in the past, or more likely you've had a SEO person that doesn't know what they're doing do this in the past, where you've had a blog post and you've gone through and then you've said at the end, the Jones Law Firm is an aggressive, effective, affordable firm that does X, Y, and Z areas of practice, and you link to your homepage or you link to a contact page. It's got to be very contextually useful for your readers, for it to be valuable. And there's a couple different reasons for this. The main reason that I think attorneys typically care about is the search engines. The search engines will reward high quality contextual links that add information, whether those links are internal or external. Your readers, on the other hand, are or they should be more important to you as you're considering what you're going to be writing and linking to. So think about it this way. If you go to a blog post that you're really interested in, this blog post is kicking butt. You're finding out all these new things that you didn't know about. You're so happy that you've got this information because it's inspiring you in your practice, or it's inspiring you to go and try a new cleanse or whatever it is. You're reading an interesting story about politics, and then you see a link, and it basically takes you to an advertisement. Are you going to trust any of the other links in that article? Are you going to trust any of the other links in that website? Trust is a easy thing to lose on the internet, and if you lose it, it's a very difficult thing to get back because there's so much information out there that they don't have to patronize yours. And so be very careful about where you link. But that being said, do it often. Just do it very strategically. Question is, what are your thoughts on digital headline analyzers? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by a digital headline analyzer. I'm going to take a stab at this. I think what you're talking about is any kind of automated SEO tool or website where you say, here's my headline, tell me what it should be. I hate them. Frankly, if everybody were to use the same algorithm, everybody's posts would end up sounding the same. And that's really where the scalable profits from firms that sell marketing that is not unique to the individual customers, whether they're law firms or any other type of business, that's where they can really scale their businesses. But it doesn't help you, the attorney, set yourself apart. You should really be thinking about what your readers want to hear. What questions are they asking? There's very few times, at least so far, where I've seen a machine or computer algorithm be smarter and more effective at communicating with other human beings than human beings themselves. And as a lawyer, ultimately what you're selling online, because you're not selling information anymore. That's been obvious for a long time, but it's just getting more and more obvious. What you are selling, and really from my perspective, what we've always been selling as lawyers, is our personality, is our trust, is ourself more than anything. And so if you're abdicating your judgment about how you communicate with potential clients and clients to a machine, then you really have done very little to set yourself apart. And then you still have the issue of when somebody comes into your office, should they have liked what that machine said? are they going to experience a personality that is consistent with what they thought they were getting when they made contact? If I didn't answer um, that question well, I see you sent me a website. I may have to look at this offline for the interest of time and get back to you on it, or Tori can get back to you on it as well. Um, Oh, I see. So it's emotional marketing value headline analyzer. That's Tori's area of expertise. And Tori, if you want to take a look at that from the link, and if you have anything to add to it, certainly feel free to jump in. And
Absolutely. Gotcha.
and I, you just interrupt once you've looked at it if you have something. Debbie, we can also just get back to you later on if we don't during the rest of this question and answer.
Yes, I'll probably follow up with you in an email, Debbie. But
Okay.
thanks for your question. That's fantastic.
Okay. So on to the next question. This one is long and I can't see the whole thing, so I'm just going to start reading through. Um, Can you give us any information as to what firms might be using your blogging services so we can see Lawlytics product in this area? I realize that you would have to get permission from the attorney, but just curious. Yes, we have permission from several attorneys that we have blogged for. That's more of a content department issue, Elise. And what I can do, if you'd like, is just have them contact you with some examples. There's a really cool site that I think that you could take a look at that I think is like we're getting to the tail end of this major project for them with literally hundreds of pages, and so we've got some really robust examples to show you. So I'll make a note and have either Rachel or Alyssa reach out to you regarding that as well. Let's see here. I hope I'm not missing any because the window here is pretty small. Okay, Lise, got your email, and Debbie, thank you. Yeah, we will. Uh, okay, great. So Lise, you'll be hearing from us. Debbie, it sounds like we answered your question, but I think Tori may have some follow up as well. Let's take a quick look, and I think there were a couple other questions, but. Well, most people are still here. Let's just take a look at the case results module. The reason why I wanted to pull this up is this just gives a good example. So this is Richard Lawson's website. He's got an example here of how robust you can build a website using Lawlytics. I mean, there are hundreds, if not over 1,000 pages on here now. And the site ranks really well for pretty much anything that he would go after by virtue of all the content that he's put on here. But what I do want to show you is how Lawlytics displays case results in his case. So this is just basically this stuff ahead here is just the kind of preamble. And then what Lawlytics does is it organizes your case results, or you can call them example cases or case studies. You can rename this to be whatever you want within the Lawlytics module. And so you've entered your case results or representative cases or representative clients or whatever. And it shows your clients or potential clients at your website this list. And so anywhere they click, so say they click on a particular result, it gives them a very focused synopsis of the result or whatever you want to write about it. And then it gives them the ability to, in a focused way, scroll through the results. Now, this is what it looks like in the Lawlytics control panel. So in the case results module, which you get to through the publish menu, you can do it right here. You can also go right here. We'll just go through here, though. The way that the case results are organized depends on the order here. So what you can do is you can just take and drag and drop them into whatever order you want them displayed. And then from top to bottom, that's how they will display on your website in that main case results area. Now, what you can use this case results module for is to talk about cases that you've handled, talk about representative clients, talk about really anything that you want to talk about. You could also use it for other things as well, but those are the things that we recommend that you use it for. And you can make it quite robust. So you can basically, this is a full functioning blog module within here. You can add maps to it. So interactive Google Maps are embedded. You can add images, and anytime you click that, your image library will come up. You'll have access to your videos, any links widgets and so forth. And the links widget, I think, is beyond the scope of this, but it's also a very good way to get contextual links in your blog posts. So what you want to do is create user stories, or stories that your potential clients, referral sources, and so forth can follow. So not only, something like this is a very small case result, but what you might want to do is start with the result and then tell the story. And you can tell it much like a blog. It could be 500 words, 1,000 words. It could be 10,000 words. It could have all kinds of interactive materials on there. The reason it's separate is people want to know what you've done. They want to know what you do, and they want to know what you can do for them. And by basically just saying we did X, Y, or Z, it's not nearly as effective as actually walking them through and telling them. And so this is like the best way, hands down, to represent what you're able to do for people. Now, that being said, so we've got the case results module, and then we've got the blogging module. The blogging module will put all of the entries under the blog, and again, this is like a preamble to it. And then these are individual blog posts. You can go to the individual blog posts, and it shows all the information. It shows the author, links back to the author's profile on the site, and so forth. All that happens automatically within the Lawlytics system. But the other question that came in is regarding whether a case study should go in a blog post or should go in the case results area. And the long and short of it is it really depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about a case result or something that your firm did, absolutely put it in the case results module, because that organizes it in a nice way. If you put it in the blog, it's going to be there, but it's going to get pushed downstream by other blog posts about other things. However, if you're doing a case study about something that your firm didn't do, for example, and there was a question that came in about, do you can you write about, or should you write about things that that your firm hasn't done, but things that other law firms have done, results and so forth. And the answer is yes, but be very careful in doing so. So let's say there's a famous case that just came out, or even just a case that's really representative of something that you do, or it's a good teachable moment. There's a good fact pattern in it that you want to use as the basis for a blog post. Put that in the blog area. Talk about what the result was in that case. Talk about maybe what facts might have made it different. Maybe talk about how this case was decided this way 3 years ago, but this pending legislation or this new case before the Supreme Court or whatever the case may be may change that, and here's how. Those types of things are meant for the blog post. So in other words, if you're talking about yourself and you're bragging about it, case results. If it's purely educational or explanatory, probably better in the blogging area. I'm going to go back to here. So if you have other questions, go ahead and submit them. I'm going to have to take a moment here and make this questions area a little bit bigger, because there's so many questions that came in. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. If you're still here and you have questions that we haven't yet addressed, can you please use the hand raising function of GoToWebinar so that we'll be able to more easily parse out who has questions still. I think we've got most of them that came through here. Okay, here's another one. Given the fluidity of the law, how often do you recommend updating previous blogs? Should you edit to reveal new legal standards or write a new blog? Also, does Lawlytics have the capability to scan previous blog posts for broken links? Okay, so let's take the first part first. It depends on how many blog posts you've done. If you have thousands of blog posts, and some of our customers do, it becomes very impractical to go back and amend those previous blog posts on a regular basis to go back through all of them. However, if you look at the analytics from your site, and if you're in Lawlytics, you can see which blog posts are getting the most traffic, which are most influential. Those blog posts that get the most traffic, they typically do so for a reason. Either they're ranking very well in the search engines, or they're shared or linked to in a lot of different places. Those posts that are high traffic, when the information becomes outdated in those posts, it absolutely makes sense to go through and update them. And in fact, so if a page or a post that you've done is getting a high amount of traffic, chances are you're going to get comments on it as well. And you can use the Lawlytics built-in blogging comment feature as well to add information to it. And so it's kind of a choice that you make, whether you go in and actually edit the body of the blog post or append additional information that becomes relevant to the comments area of the blog. Either one is perfectly legitimate. Something major, like if you've talked about a law and you've given advice, and that law is now changed, and so the advice is bad, probably good to go in there and put in a disclaimer, date the disclaimer so that it's clear when it was put in. And so forth. But if you're spending your time going back through just randomly looking for things to update in old blog posts, my strong opinion is that it is more productive to use your time writing new blog posts. So every hour that you're spending looking and fixing old blog posts is an hour that you could have used to write another new blog post, or make at least progress towards making one. And so it's a time management and kind of a case by case basis triage type issue. Now, in terms of Lawlytics scanning for broken links, if the link is internal, yes, we can find it and fix it. And typically speaking, if you've used the Lawlytics linking manager to link to internal pages, those will automatically be updated if the URL of those pages changes. If you delete a post, however, or a page, that does not automatically delete it. So you'll need to go back if it's something that you've deleted, that you've linked to in many different places. You'll want to go back and make sure, instead of deleting the page, though, what we recommend is redirecting that page to another page, so that the information is either still there or there's a soft place to land. In terms of scanning for broken links on other sites, Lawlytics currently does not do that. It's a feature that we have been considering. If that's something that appeals to you, and it's definitely in our product roadmap, it's just a question of when do we put it in. The issue is, if we've literally got probably hundreds of thousands of links from all of our customers going out to other sites. You have to be able to scan on a regular basis hundreds of thousands of websites to see if they're still there. And then the question not only becomes, is the link broken, but is the link still relevant? And so, in other words, there's no algorithm that we've been able to think of, and there's no algorithm that I'm aware of that would be able to crawl a link from your website and see if it is broken. Yes, but if it still exists, but the context of it has changed to an extent that it's not advisable for you to link there anymore, or it's something that redirects traffic to one of your competitors' sites or something like that. There's no way of telling that. And so, one, we recommend being very selective about where you're linking to. Most of the time, the broken links come from situations where you've linked or webmasters have linked based on trades or other link building practices that are not recommended anyways. Those types of links tend to come and go. If you have a directory that you've been contributing to and you've linked to those, we recommend going through and really expunging those as much as you can, because it's sending your traffic off of your site to places that you don't own or control, and that can also expose people to your competitors. But by and large, just be very selective about where you're linking to, and be very vigilant that you're sending people away from your site to trustworthy sources that are going to add value to the user's experience. Let me see here. I think we've potentially gotten to the end of our questions now, about an hour and 15 minutes in or so. But let me just do a quick run through of these just to make sure. Everything that I see, I believe, has been answered. And so if in the cascade of all of these questions that have come in, the GoToWebinar control panel sometimes makes it very difficult to see what's what. If I've missed something, please don't hesitate to contact us. Let's put up our contact information here. Um, we're always available to answer questions, whether you're a Lawlytics customer already, or whether you're thinking about becoming one and want some advice about your law firm's website. Just let us know whenever you have questions, and we're always happy to help out. This webinar has been recorded. We will be making the slides available as well as the video within the next couple days. I expect that it'll be posted Monday at the latest. We do have some webinars coming up next week. And for those of you who haven't seen this yet, let's go to the Lawlytics website. And I just want to show you, to get to our upcoming webinars, if you go under the Learn menu, you'll see, so there's yesterday's that we're going to be getting online soon. Here's today's, and then here's next week's, the weeks after, and so forth. Most weeks we have 2 webinars a week, except for the 4th week of the month, where we have 3, where Larry Bodine, Tori, and I. Larry Bodine is our senior legal marketing strategist. We go through and we just kind of do almost a talk show style format, question and answers about things that have happened in legal marketing over the last month or so. But all of these are available to register now. You don't have to wait until the webinar gets close. We've got them planned out until July. And then also, if you go under the Learn menu and you click on the on-demand webinars, these are going to be better organized soon, because as we've gotten more and more of these in there, it's getting more and more difficult to find what you need. But any of these webinars are available to watch on demand. Most of them require you to just put in your name and your email address. And once you do that, what'll happen is our system will automatically email you a link to the playback site and to be able to download the slides and so forth. And then, for those of you both that are new to Lawlytics or thinking about Lawlytics, and those of you who have been on for a while, what we see a lot of times is attorneys come in and they use our awesome website building and publishing and blogging features, and they tend to get so involved in those that they don't realize that we have a whole bunch of other features that can be very useful to lawyers if used on a regular basis. And so I encourage you to go to the software tour link on the website and check out the various features. For example, did you know about our user access level control? And if you go there, you can see how the system is set up, that you can add as many users, how our ghostwriting features work. There's a lot of other things as well that are worthwhile to check out that are very different than the average web marketing company. Our software was built from the ground up for lawyers, with lawyers in mind, based on really the pain that I had in my law practice and the pain that hundreds of attorneys that I talked with over the years as we were getting ready to build Lawlytics also had. So you can build web capture forms and all these things, use the Lawlytics network to cross-market your practice, social media interaction and stuff. So just check those out, especially if you're already a Lawlytics member and want to learn how to get more out of your website. And then if you're not a Lawlytics member already and would like to find out, easiest way to do it is to just go to this free marketing consultation button, fill this out. This will set you up with an appointment to talk to Chad, who is one of our senior leadership members, and he'll walk you through everything and really help you decide whether it's a good fit for your firm and how best we can help you. So fill that out. It'll take you to a link to go to his calendar. Anyways, I hope to see everybody at this next webinar. If you have questions in between, do let us know.